Welcome to MacroCode. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to continue with our series on .NETMAUI. So as you can see, we have been building an app on .NETMAUI that is an employees app. So we have employees list. So you can see we have an employees list in a data grid. You can be able to add a new employee, select the country, and we have actually tied the countries to constituencies, allocations. So we have a cascading drop-down list of all the drop-down list. So to proceed, we have the countries. You can be able to add the countries, constituencies, locations, and the rest. So today we are going to do an editing of our list of employees. So we can actually add an employee, but how do we edit? So we want to edit an employee record after adding it. So to begin with, I'm going to showcase how we are going to do that. So this is how our app looks like. So we have our employees list here. Sorry, we have our employee list here. So on our employees list, so this is a collection view with the data grid inside it. So you can see how we have actually arranged the data. So I'm going to showcase how we are going to edit the employee record. But before we do that, I want us to provide a parameter that when we edit, we need to pass an employee ID so that we can be able to get that data. So if you come to employees list, XAML.cs file, we need to show that we for this list, we need to be passing a parameter. So at the top of the page, just at the top here, we need to provide to indicate that we need a parameter. So you'll say query property, then a name of, then we'll say, so we need to pass the name of the parameter. So we can say employee, sorry, you can say employee ID, sorry, employee ID, then you can do name of, so we'll say name of, this should be a comma, then also we pass the employee ID. So that is it. You can close this. So this employee ID, we need actually to define it here. So we'll say public string. So then we'll say register. This should be employee ID. So we'll say employee ID. Then we can set get and set. Then we need to define. So you can also say public string employee ID, same name as it is here. So we'll do that. Then we need to, sorry, so we need to say get. So we define our get, sorry, so it will be that one, get. Then we have to assign it to employee ID. Then we say set employee ID value. So this one I'll do this this way, so you can do this way. So that is how it looks. So after we have done this, so we need now to indicate this parameter. So on our, so this is query property, then name of employee. So we need to close this, should be this way. Yeah, so that is fine now. So we need now to supply our parameter to our employees list view model. So if you come to our employees list view model, so where is our view model? Here. So on our employees list view model, our constructor, as you can see, our constructor doesn't have a parameter. So we need to pass a parameter on this constructor so that it should be expecting an ID. So here we can say int. So we are expecting an int. Then you can assign it to 0. So that is the default value. So if we come to our employee list, so we need to supply these parameter now when we navigate. So inside here we'll say bind context is equals to, so we tie to our view model here, then we'll say is equals to new, then view model, employees view model. Then we need to convert our string here into an ID, because this employee view model expects an int, as you can see. So what we'll say int dot pass, then into bracket we say URI dot uniscape data string. Let me zoom that way. Then inside here we now pass our string, so that is the value. So then we need to close that. Sorry, need to close that, then that. Then if we do that, expecting 3 of them. So that is how we have defined our navigation. So as you can see, we have defined the ID here. So this is how the ID looks like. So we are expecting an int. So this is, it will now supply the int to our employee view model. But now remember this employees list, when we click on it, then it should be able to pass this ID. But now before we proceed, when you go to employee view model, you can see we have now the ID that we are expecting from the parameter. So when we use this ID, we should be able to get the data of the employee. So what we need to define here, so we'll define the, so we'll say public. So let's do public, then employee. So this is the employee, then we say employee. I think we had defined, actually there is an issue we have done. We have actually have these on our employees list. This should not be on our employees list. So actually we have passed it to the wrong view model. So we should pass this to the add view model. So in our add view model, this is how it should look. So it should pass the parameter there, so we can actually move this to our add view model. So you should actually have this, sorry, you should actually have this on our add view model. So I'll define it here on our add page. So this is how it looks. Then we can copy the other one. We should move this to our add view model. So come to our page, there it is. Then this should be public, add employee VM. Then you should have these as a, should do this VM. Then here you should say VM. Then this should be add view model. So guys, we should actually define the parameter on our add page, not on our list page. So I've moved the data from the parameter from our list page. So this is how our list page looks like. We don't have any parameter. On our employees list view model, I've actually removed the parameter. So we are going to add the parameter on our add new employee. So this is where we have the parameter. Now, what we need to do, we need to know if this is an edit or it is an add, is a new record that is being added. So to do that, we need to check whether the ID has been supplied or not. So whether the ID has been supplied, we need to retrieve the record. So I'll say if ID is greater than 0, so then I am sure that will be edit. So if this ID is greater than 0, then we are expecting an edit. Else, we need to initiate a new record. So we can now have that inside it. So we need to instantiate this one. But in case this is a new record, so we'll get the list of we'll get the record, the employee record from our table. So what we need to define, when you come to our app context, application context DB. So we have defined this function that returns all the rows of the table. But we now need something that we can pass the parameter, and it can give us the just the record based on the parameter that we have passed. So we can copy this, and we can actually duplicate it. So we can say public object. So it will give us an object. So we'll say public object. Then we say get table row, just a single record. Then we need to pass the table name. Say table name. Then we say we need also to pass the column. So you can say the column. Then we can pass the value. That is now the parameter. Then object, this is the same. Table mapping should be the same. Then now where we are going to change is our query. So we'll say query select stuff from the table name here. Then this table name, we need to put in a where clause. So after this, so we'll say, let me just get rid of this. So I'll say table name. Then I'll say where inside here. So I'll say where. So after where, I need to put in the column. So I'll say column. Where the column, then I put that. Then where the column is equals to, then plus the value. So plus the value, and I need to close it. So I can close it that way. So this is where. So select star from table name, where the column is equals to the value. So after we have done that, we should be able now to return database data connection, then query async map, query then object. Then here we'll say result, you want the first record. So you'll say dot first or default. So it will give us the first record. But now we can actually have this as we can pass this as an object. So you'll say public t, then get table row, then we pass t here. That is it. Then you can still use this. Just then you can say here, instead of list, you can say single or default. So it will give us the first row. So we need to use this now to get, so this will be generic. This will apply to all the records that we will be retrieving. So if you come to our now add, where we need to retrieve the record, we need to come to we need now to pass so we need to say employees. Remember we had defined this at the bottom here. Let me show you, this is it. Let me even have it at the top here so that we don't get confused. So this is employee details. So we need to, if it is an edit, we need to pass the employee details to this to what we had done here. So we'll say employee details is equals to, so we say app.database.get table row. So we are passing the object, say employee, then we pass the table this way. So the table name will be employee, then the column will be ID, then the value will be ID. So this will be to string, So you're expecting a string there. Then we need to close this. So you can see this will give us the first record. So when it retrieves the data here, it will actually give us the record. And we can also do we can do this. We say variable data. Then we can do, we say employee is equals to, I think that is fine. We can actually leave it the way it is. We can do away with that. So this will now give us the employee record that has been selected. So if this is ID is null, it will instantiate it and you can actually capture a new employee. But if there is records, then you can actually preview the data. Now, how do we now select that? So on our employees list, this is where the list is. So we need to select one of the record. If you just tab this one of the record inside here, we should be able to pass that parameter. So how do we do that? So on our collection view, you can see the item source is employees. So what we need to define here is what we call so you can define what we call selected mode. When you tab, you're expecting to select one item. So select mode, you say a single item. Then selected item. So we need to say selected item, we need to define it. So how do we do that? Come to our employees list. Then inside the employees list, we need to define the selected item, the way we were doing for the cascading drop-down list. So for those who are new, you can watch our previous videos so that you can be able to understand how we have been doing that. So we need to define the selected item so that whenever you select that item, you are able to load it to you are able to get the data and you can be able to preview. So here, I'm going to do something small. So I'll say private. So I'll say private. I'll pass the model, employee model. Then I'll say selected employee. So this is the employee that you have actually selected. So I'll do that. Then I need to define, say public employee, selected employee. So I'll do that. Then I can say get. So this will be return. It will return selected employee. Then I need to close that. Then here I can do that. Then I need to say selected employee is equals to value. Then I need to, so I can actually do this. So I'll do this. So selected employee is equals to value. Then you can put in a comma there. So after that, I need to say on property change. So I can just do this. Then I need to close this. So this is how it looks. So I'll say selected employee is equals to the value, then on property, in case something changes. And you should be able to, now whenever you select this, we need to pass a value. So here we can say if selected the employee is null, if something is selected, you should actually return null. So you can say return null. So you can say return null, or you can just say return. Then we need to define a function. So we need to define a function here. Let me just show you. So we say private async. So I want us, if you select an employee, then it should load us to the edit page and you should be able to see the details. So we'll say void, then we say on selected employee. Then we do this, we pass the employee model. Then we close that. Then we say you can have a try catch. So I'll zoom that. So I'll say try catch, then exception. We should be able to handle anything that is an error. Then inside the try catch, we can now say if if selected employee, not even selected, we need to pass this. If the employee that has been selected is null, then we should actually return. But in case it has been selected, then we need to say await. So we need to navigate it to our page. So we say shell dot current dot go to. So we now navigate to our add employee now with a parameter. So we'll do that. Then I'll define. So you need to do that. Then we need to pass our page here. So our page is now the add employee. So we need to copy that. So we'll pass our page here. We should actually say name. Sorry, should actually do this. Do that. Say name of. Then we pass our page here. Then inside, after the page, we should now say, we should do that. Then we also do this. We say name of. Then we pass the page again. Then now for this time, we add the parameter. You remember the parameter that we had added on our page, add employee. You see this parameter, we need to assign it a value. So come to our list. So here, where we are. So we say if we just type in employee ID, we should be able to see it. So employee ID, then if we close that, we should be able to assign it a value. So you'll say is equals to, then we assign the selected employee. So selected employee now is this one. Then we say we want to pass the ID. So that is it. And we can now close that. So you can see this is now we are now passing the navigating to add employee page with a parameter. Now we can now capture the error here. So to do that, let me just copy what we had defined on our. You can copy this. Then we can have it on our employees list. So here we can now capture the error. We can say error card. Then you can remove this. Then we'll say something went wrong while selecting the employee. And then you can put in the message that we have. Sorry, so I'll say this plus. Then I'll do that. Then I'll say ex.message. So this should be out. Should remove this. Then that is it. So we should be able to get our error. So after we have selected that, remember whenever this is where the employee is being selected. So we need to define this function inside here. So we'll actually define it here. Then we pass the parameter, which is the value. We pass now the employee. You see this is selected. It will pass the employee to this function. Then this function will navigate. So we'll do that. Sorry. We'll do that. Then we can actually return. Say return. Then selected employee is equals to null. So that is it. So that is it. That is it. So let me see if we missed something. So on selected, we need to. Is there anything we need to return? we say if that is not null, we need to do that. Sorry. So you can do that, then these will be fine. So you can actually can do away with this. Let's see. So if we now take this selected employee, come to our employees list, then our selected item will be, we need to bind it. So we'll say binding, then put in our selected employee, then you say mode is equals to two-way. Then you're expecting now whenever you select an employee, we should be able to hit our view model here. Then we should be able to navigate to our add new employee with a parameter. So if you come and also put a breakpoint here, you should be able to get the parameter and retrieve the data. So if I launch this, you should be able to see how it is working. So for those who are new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching our previous videos so that you can be able to help others. So like the video so that we reach more people. So let's see how our app looks like. So our app is launching. So let's see how it will work. So when we select one of the employees, so you can see the list is, when you just load it, it will be trying to select, but it will be having a null. So you can see this is our list of employees. So if we just tap James, if we just click, we should be able to see if anything has been selected. You can see James ID 3 Mwangi Karanja has been selected. So that is the employee that has been selected, and should be able now to navigate to our function here to give us the selected employee. So that is it. So let's see. So let's see. That is the employee. Okay, I think we have done something wrong here. We are actually, this is, you see, it is not null. So we are actually returning. That should not be the case. This should be when this is equals to null. So let's launch. So we change this to, when this is not selected, then it should actually return a null value. But if it is selected, it should actually take us now to this function that we have just defined. So let's see how it will go. So there it is. So if we select James, there we are. So you can see we have the selected employee. This is not null, so it will jump. There we are. So it has given us the value of the selected employee. And if we just proceed, you can see it has now taken us to the new function. And here we now check if the employee is, here also you are not saying it is not null. Here should be, if employee is null, that is where we should actually return. So let me do away with this also. So that should be null. So let's see. So if I just click on that, that is it. So you can see it has navigated us to the to this section. And if you just hover on the employee, it is passing the ID 3. So if we just proceed, you can see here we are getting ID 0. If we enter, you can see this is ID 0. We do that, it is again. If we try again, it will now give us the ID. You can see the ID is 3. If we navigate, it will get inside here, and it should be able to retrieve the record employee table ID with our ID is 3. So if we just click here, we proceed, you can see something went wrong while selecting the employee. So we have an exception. So let's try something. So the exception now is on our get table row. So what we need to do here, we can change something on our table row. So let's go there and we see what is wrong here. So what we need to do here, we can say, we can return here, we can change this to be an object. Then we say get table row. Then we don't pass anything. Let's just do that. Then table name, column, and the value. Then we say table mapping. That is fine. Then string query select star from table where column, this is the column, is equals to the value. So this is the value. So I should actually do something here. So do that. So I should also do that. So that is it. So we should do that. So I think this is where our issue was. Then on the cast, we should say result. Then you can pick in the first or default. So let's say first or default. So this is how our function now looks like. So we should expect, so let's go back to our add. So this should be that way. Then we should pass nothing here. Then we can say variable data. We should retrieve the list of employee. Then we can say we assign employee should be equal to say employee. Then we now map it to our data. So this is how it should look. So let's try again. So let's launch our app. So if we click select, it will take us there. There we are. So you see the ID is 3. If we proceed, yeah, still something is wrong with our get table row. This is where the issue is. So we can, let's see how it is. We can try again. Let me just rebuild our app. So there we are. If we click it, let's see. So there we are. So I want us to get the select statement. The issue is here. So that is it. We say select star from employee where ID is equals to 3. So this is where the issue is. So we'll say we'll do that where should be that way. Then we say where this is equals to, then we do that. This is where the issue is, our query. So our query is not. Let's try again. Let's try to launch our app. So if we select, let's go there again. There we are. So if we do that, let's see our query. Select star from employee where ID. I think that should work. That is it. There we are. So you can see we have our first name, Karanja, and even Mwangi. Then email address. I think that is where we didn't save. So If we just now come to our add employee here, so whenever we select the employee data, we'll be able to retrieve it. So if we just do that, let's see. If I select employee here, you can see it is now giving us the parameter. Then if we just proceed, let's now do away with our breakpoint. You can see the data has been retrieved. You can see ID, James 3, Mwangi, Karanja, and the village. So we didn't save the email address, and we also have here the date of birth. So if I proceed, you see it is taking us to the employee form with the first name and the rest. But now remember we are saving the village ID only. So on our employee table, if you just come to our employee table, we have only the village ID. But from the list, you can see we are getting this from the country going downwards up to the village. So how should we map this data when someone edits? So what we need to do, come to our add employee. After we have actually found the data here. So what we need to do here, after we have loaded the villages. So what we need to do, we'll now have something here, very interesting. So I'll just put this here. So I'll now uncomment this. You remember I told you we comment so that you can be able to use it. So whenever someone loads the app, this should already pre-populated. We are loading all the constituencies, the countries, the villages, and the sublocations and all this. So to get to map our data based on our cascading drop-down list, so we'll actually check if our employee data. So we'll say if employee is not equal to null. So this means we already have the data that we already saved. So if that is not equal to null, what we need to do is now to get the list over. We now need to get the village, we get the country, then you actually tie it to the data that we have selected. So how should we do that? So to do that, we are going to check first if we have the employees records based on the data that has been retrieved when editing. If that is there, then we need to actually load the data. So how are we going to load it? We are going to pre-select. So we say selected village will be equal to, selected village. Remember, we are saving the data from the village, only the village ID. So if you come to our form, the data of the village, to show the selected village, so this is the selected village, the sublocation, the location, the constituency, and the country. So we are going to give data to the selected values here. So to do that, you are going to our employee, then we say selected village is equals to, we need to load to get all the data. So all the villages that has been loaded here, then we say is equals to, we say loaded villages, then we say we want to find first or default. Then we say where we need now to get only the first record. So where x dot village ID, say x dot, this should be x, this should be ID, load, get first, where ID is equals to, we want to map it to our employee village that we had saved. So you'll say village ID. That is it. So if we have the selected village, of course, we can have the selected constituents, the selected sublocation. So we'll say selected sublocation is equals to locations, loaded sublocations. Then we say ID is equals to, so this one we are not getting, so we'll say ID is equals to the selected village dot sublocation ID. So we get also another one for our our location. So we'll say selected location is equals to loaded locations. So we just copy them here. So these are locations. Then we say ID is equals to selected sublocation dot location ID. So we should also be getting the sublocation. So after sublocation, then we have the constituency. So we say selected constituency. Constituency is equals to loaded constituencies. So here we should be able to get them from here. Then get first or default. Then this should be location, then constituency ID. Then we should now get the country. So we are actually cascading upwards. So we say your selected country should be equal to the loaded countries. Then we say selected constituency dot country ID. So that is it. So one thing that we need now to modify based on our code. So whenever we just launch our app, this will be loading automatically. So this will be loading automatically. And once it's loaded, we can now do whatever we want with what is there. So if the village is selected, so we are doing something with our data. So you can see here, you are actually clearing the data before we can do anything. But now we can do away with this. So what we can do, we can say if a country is selected, so if a country is selected, then we need to pass the constituencies. So to do that, we just do away with that. Then we say constituencies. So you'll say loaded. This should be loaded. Countries. I mean, when you select the country, it should give you the constituency. So you should say load constituency. So this is it. So we should actually say load constituency. So load constituencies dot where that is selected, then you can actually have it here. So the same way we should do to the countries. So this should do away with this. We don't have to clear. Then you say load locations. Load locations. Then it should be able to append. Then we should actually also say for the sublocations, we should do away with this. Then here we should say load sublocations, where location ID is that. Then villages, should do away with this also. Then we say load villages. So that is it. So we can try to edit our app and see. So I'll just put in a breakpoint here, then launch our app. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching our previous videos. So our app is launching. Let's see. So if we click James Karanja, it will take us to the edit page. And you can see our employee data is not null. So this one should be, we should actually check not only null. Let's see if it will throw an exception. So there we are. Yeah, it will actually throw an exception. So for us to check, we should actually say if this is employee.details, then you say dot, can check the ID. or we can check. You can say, or you can even check. Let's just check employee data is not null. Is not null. And we say and ID is greater than 1, is greater than 0. So you just do that. We shall do that. So if we try again, so our app is launching. So if we click again, it will take us to that section. It is getting our employee data. You can see we have James, Mwangi, Karanja. So here we should be having the village ID. If we select, if we proceed, we still have the village ID. If we just go there, it should take us there. So selected village should have a value, you can see. If we proceed again, so I'll jump to the next line. If we proceed here, you see selected location also has a value. So if we just continue, you can see our app is now having the cascading drop down list. You can see we have the country, constituency, location, sublocations, and the village based on what we saved. So this is how now you are done. You should be able to do the editing, and you can actually update. You can see I can be able to update, and here as well I can be able to select. So that is it, guys. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching our previous videos. See you on our next section.